You're listening to The Money Hour with Mitchell and Mercer. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance experts Tina Mitchell and Mike Mercer.
Welcome to The Money Hour with Mitchell and Mercer, the Saturday, May 18th show. I am Tina Mitchell, the mortgage diva, and sitting to my left is my co-host, the mortgage master, Mike Mercer. How's it going over there, Mike?
Tina. Good. How are you doing?
Good. Excited for a great show.
Always.
To all you listeners out there, thank you for taking time to talk money with Mike and I today. Mike and I are here every Saturday at 10 a.m. and our show rebroadcast tomorrow every Sunday at 11 a.m. right here on 570 KVI. We provide you the news on everything money, fresh information on the market trends and conditions in our local economy, and excited today where it's all about real estate. So anything you want to know about real estate, you're going to hear it today. If you hear any information on the topics discussed that you want more information on, please write down our number, 1-888-987-0570. Again, that's 1-888-987-0570, or you can always reach us online at themoneyhour.com. And Mike, why don't you introduce our guests in studio today?
Well, yeah, we've got a couple great guests. First, we've got Bill and Diana MacDonald, who are currently with Prudential Real Estate. Welcome, guys. And, combined, they've been in the real estate business for about 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, not individually, combined. We set that straight.
Yep.
And today they're going to be talking about being a seller in today's market. And one might think that that's just kind of an easy thing, like stick a for sale sign in your yard and your house will sell. But we all know that's not the case. So they're gonna touch on that. So Tina, just to give you and you and our listeners just a quick little background on Bill and Diana. Bill basically obtained his real estate license in 1985. He began his real estate career in actually new construction as an account executive for multiple East Side builders. Bill, of course, quickly rose to the top ranks of the industry and is recognized as a leader in land acquisition, development, and construction. So, Bill, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Well, great to be here.
And then as far as Diana goes, Diana basically followed her career as a legal assistant specializing in real estate by obtaining her real estate license in 1999. Armed with a fluid understanding of contract law, Diana quickly excelled in her chosen specialty of corporate relocation, working with multiple national relocation companies, many of whom seek her out for her known professionalism, commitment to customer service, and attention to detail. So, Diana, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's get started.
Yeah, so we're talking with Diana and Bill about sellers and all the media. We've got a lot of listeners that might be listening today, and you hear on the media and the newspaper and on the radio. Sometimes you've heard here in studio about how it's just really the time for a seller to buy. And we may have somebody out there listening. Let's just say that they've been waiting to sell their home, and now they're ready to just move forward. What is the first thing that they need to know about the seller and today's market?
Well, the first thing you need to do is find an agent, like you said. And we recommend that people get personal referrals from people they trust. And when they refer you to an agent, ask them a little bit further, how do you know this person? Have you worked with them in the past? Would you use them? You just don't want anybody's niece or nephew that just got their license a week ago.
That's a great advice.
And people always seem to do that. They go... and I think they do that because they make that decision because it's immediately family.
Well, and
so
you think because in real estate, you're really close. And so if you have a close friend or a neighbor or somebody at your church, you feel comfortable with them, which is great if they're experiencing their full time.
Right.
Not so much if they're not.
So how many agents would you recommend that a new person would interview?
We recommend that people interview at least 2, if not 3.
Uh-huh. And what kind of things are they going to want to ask in that interview, and what things are they looking for that, or any red flags?
Well, an effective listing presentation, should readily demonstrate an agent's familiarity with the current market conditions and with some degree of specificity to their exact locale, their neighborhood. And an agent should be able to readily demonstrate how many homes they've sold over the past 12 months, in what price ranges, what proximity to the neighborhood that they're looking at right now. And, only experienced agents will be able to convey that information in an informative manner.
So, Bill or Diana, what do you see as far as a seller, the biggest mistake that they could make in today's market?
Listing their home too high. Often people will choose an agent based on list price only. Mm-hmm. And even in today's market, there are homes that sit on the market because they are listed too high.
And isn't that funny? It doesn't matter if we're in this market or we're in a really slow market. The price, it has to be priced right regardless. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Diana, because I think people think in this market that pricing high, there's nothing wrong with doing it, and they should. The strategy is the same regardless of what market we're in. You've got to price right, and if you price too high, big mistake.
Big mistake.
So maybe we can go on that a little bit, expand on that a little bit more. So tell us about the, because, it was interesting. I was talking to my mom and stepdad about this the other day. They were thinking about listing their house for sale in Kirkland, and I think it came in somewhere between like high fours, like 480 or 490 to like 525 or 530, and I think some of the agents that they were talking to had recommended maybe like 499 or something like that, and of course it's funny, my stepdad was like, well, why are we not listing it for 530? Let's go for the top, But, what would you guys touch on? Because I'm sure you get that a lot as far as, well, you actually could get to 530 or even higher if it actually is priced in that sweet spot where you're going to get a bunch of offers coming in.
Well, there's several ways to skin that cat, okay?
Yeah.
But the most important one that should always be at the forefront of your considerations is my house going to appraise. If I have a $500,000 house and I sell it for $600,000, it's probably not going to close if there's a loan involved. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that we go to great lengths to demonstrate to sellers that perhaps somebody would offer this much, but will it close? That's the most important thing to you. You want to get on with your life. You got a new job to go to, or you're going to expanding family. You got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Diana has a very exhaustive process by which she goes even back in snapshots in time, whether it's 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, doing comparable studies on a prospect's home, where it appraised relative to the market then, where it did 5 years ago, and where it is today, using appraiser standards, which
right.
means at least 3 properties that have sold and closed within the last 90 days, because that's the most important criteria by which we could, determine a good value. Now, once that's established and we're safe with that number, we can maybe project different strategies by which to maybe hit that number, if not maybe a little bit higher, but we know we want to get at least there. Why don't you talk about that, Diana? Because we had some really great transactions over the last couple of weeks that
I'm sure
played straight into that.
Stories are always great for listeners.
Yeah.
We recently took a listing in Sammamish, and I looked at where prices were pending sales, meaning they hadn't closed, but we had 4 or 5 homes that were pending. Based on that analysis, I felt really comfortable listing the home at $550,000. It was interesting that we had 2 listings on the market competing with us that were both listed at $575,000. We obtained 10 offers and eventually sold for $578,000. And actually got the buyer to waive the appraisal contingency, meaning that if the house didn't appraise, they were going to buy it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And we noted that the 2 homes that were listed for $575,000 did not sell for full price.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in this market, I think if you come on the market at a fair price, you let the buyers push the value if they choose.
Yeah, and just speaking of the appraisal issue, have you guys actually seen recently where, the offers came in and the deal almost went sideways because of the appraisal? Like the appraiser came in and said, this is way too...
I learned that lesson once, and it was in June of 2006.
Okay.
And that's when we had a sense that the things had changed. Mm-hmm. There was a breeze in the air that nobody wanted, but reality hit home where we had a good, solid deal on a great home and a good buyer, and the underwriter and the appraiser, killed that deal.
Uh-huh.
And it was justifiable in retrospect, of course, but they did have a sense that this was getting too close to the top for this particular product, and we've been very cautious ever since. And one of the services we offer all our sellers is we meet every appraiser on the doorstep before they go in that home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because we're the last line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We, it's not to come show up and beat them up with our list of comparables or have an argument. I just want to know where they're from.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want a West Bellevue sale being determined by an appraiser from Yakima. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, when it comes to pricing it correctly and the appraisal. If you're not pricing it to where you're getting that massive interest in the property, because it's all about creating that demand out on the market. And so if you're pricing on that high end and you're not creating the demand and everybody else is pricing a little bit low, so that's creating the demand. What the appraisers are looking for is they're looking for what market value is. It's not just things that have sold, but what people are willing to pay for the property. So when you have multiple offers where those prices are all in that same, even if there's not comparables, that will come into the opinion of the value of the home. Whereas if you have one offer, there's no multiples because you didn't really price it that right. You can't really defend that price if there's no other comparables that have sold. So there's another strategy when it comes to the appraisal in listing correctly so you can get that demand, because that's what market value is. What are people willing to pay for a home right now, today?
You're absolutely right, Tina. And fortunately, in these last couple of deals where that got bid up as much as 5% over the asking price, there were multiple offers at that same level.
So the value came in fine.
Exactly.
So, let me ask you this. When an agent is presenting, the market analysis and is giving, a recommended list price, what should the, clients be asking to see?
That, again, goes back to show me 3 to 4 homes that have sold in the past 90 days that are comparable to mine that will support this list price.
Okay.
Because listing a home is easy. Getting it sold through the inspection and on to closing is a whole other thing.
Right.
So let's go into that, Diana. Let's say, once we've determined a listener has found their agent, they found the right agent, they've got the agent's presenting the data for the value of the home. Now they're ready to list it. What do they need to do before they put their home on the market?
I'll take that. I've been working at this since 1986. So through a few down markets and some really hot markets, and it seems that with each iteration, the dynamics have changed. New tools are brought to the fore, whether it's staging, photography. Everything's become so much more sophisticated than when I was in the business. We had those big, stupid books. The fact of the matter is there's no shortcuts. Your home is your home. You can only make one first impression. And from the day your sign goes in the yard, your value is going down. So you may as well make it the absolute best that you can the first day, and generate that interest and frenzy that you would hope would come with an attractive price, a very good condition, and get those buyers out there. And an agent that will help draw that. A good full-time agent knows how to contact other agents, beat the drum, and really come up with some really fine promotional materials that are so important online, because that's where everything begins today.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I never really thought it like that. As soon as the sign goes in, every day that the house doesn't sell, you're starting to potentially lose money.
Yep.
And yet people think the opposite. Let's list
Especially
high.
in this market. They're like, what, it didn't sell in 2 days? What's up? Something's got to be wrong with this home.
Yeah, if you're not getting traffic on your house like within the first week, there's something wrong, right, in this market right now. So as listing agents, what do you do to help a seller get in their home ready, to get their home ready for the market?
We have a 64-point checklist that does part and parcel of our walkthrough that we'll sit down and discuss very strategically with the agent. First concerns are health and safety issues that'll come up on any buyer's inspection, and then we can move on to the more aesthetic aspects of preparing a home and making it marketable, eliminating clutter, moving things around. We also bring in always a professional stager to help really tighten things up, because she's got an incredible view through the lens. She understands how it's going to come out. And there isn't, anything that shouldn't be covered. I don't care if it's the crawl space, the attic, drainage, appliances that don't work or aren't fully operable. A seller needs to disclose all those things to us. And it's kind of interesting, because older sellers generally don't want to tell us anything, because they figure as long as they haven't told us anything, then they don't know anything.
Sure.
But then we have to come around to the seller's property disclosure form, where we explain to them, this is a state-required form. You have to fill it out, and you have to be truthful. Anything you know about your house, you got to give it up. And we use that information to help them quantify the issues that should be addressed and those that can be addressed most cost effectively. But
Right.
take care of the electrical, take care of the plumbing, drainage issues, water in the crawl space, all that stuff. You don't even want to think about going to market until all that stuff's tightened up. And if you do it ahead of time and not under the watchful eye of the buyer and the buyer's inspector, chances are you can shop around a little bit and get it done so much more affordably.
Yeah.
We just had a great home sell that, we didn't think there'd be any problem with it. And it was a relatively new home, but conditions had changed. The buyer's inspector found a lot of water in the crawl space. Instead of having what might have been a $1,500 repair had we done it prior to listing, it turned into almost a $5,000 very exhaustive system that was the only thing that was going to satisfy that buyer.
And you definitely don't want to get in a position where you've got a buyer ready to go. They get the inspection. You don't want to pay that $5,000 because you know you could have got done for $1,500. Everybody walks and you start over. Then your home's back on the market again, and that's a nightmare. You know, that brings up a really good question, Bill, in what you were just mentioning about disclosing the home and what you know. So what about if the pre-inspection? A lot of sellers, or there's a lot of talk about pre-inspection. Should you get a pre-inspection because then you know all the, I mean, what you're saying I would suggest that you, or I would assume that you would say yes, right?
We are advocates of pre-listing inspections. We really believe in them. And Diana's got a great saying that I have to let her state it right up the top.
Once you've accepted an offer, you've taken your house off the market, and you're getting ready to negotiate the inspection, do you want a buyer to know more about your house than you do?
No.
Exactly. You do not want to be caught on your heels.
Mm-hmm.
Never good for negotiating.
And we have never good for negotiation. And we have had a couple of deals recently where we have done the pre-listing inspection with a good inspector, have offered that pre-listing inspection to the buyers, and have had the inspection contingency waived.
Right.
Yeah.
So once again, one step closer to closing.
And I'm really interested. That's why I love having just awesome people in studio that represent all these arenas that we're not in today, being real estate, obviously. I've never heard it said the way you just said it, Bill, which makes total sense. In the cost of it, if you can find out right now what it is, it's going to cost a lot less money than if you have to wait and do it and you're in a rush to try to find somebody to fix that issue.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a great way to look at it.
You bet. I'd like your listeners to understand that it doesn't mean you have to do all these repairs. You do the pre-listing inspection, and maybe you're an elderly widow. You're a young single mom. You don't have the horsepower to do these things. Mm-hmm. But having that report in hand allows us to inform the buyer's agent and those buyers, here's what we know about the house. Mm-hmm. Factor what the potential costs of these issues are into your offer.
Yep.
Okay?
Because they're going to find out whether you tell them or not.
That's exactly right. And the fact is that, when in doubt, disclose.
Yep.
So just in saying that, so the person takes your recommendations and they get the pre-listing inspection done. Now what?
We make it available. We disclose it, and
yeah.
It's not like we're going to put it on the front lawn or put it in the flyer box, okay?
Right.
But we'll make it available to the agents online, and they'll call us and they'll have questions, and we'll also follow up those inspection issues by bringing out contractors, getting real bids. So we've got dollars and cost sheets that relate to those repairs.
So we got a minute left here. We got to go to break, and I want to wrap this up. In working with you, really quickly, why should our listeners work with you? I know why they should work with you. Let's take them out that way.
We get our listings sold. We take pride in the fact that we don't take 10 to 20 listings realizing that we're going to lose half and sell half. We sell all our listings, and we have an average days on market right now of 8. We're getting them sold quickly, and we're getting consistently more than list price.
So there you go. If you're thinking of selling your home, you got to pick up the phone. Give us a call. We'll directly connect you with the best of the best right here in studio. Yeah. And coming up next on the Money Hour with Mitchell and Mercer, lots of conversation about real estate market.